Is India still safe for everyone?
A Muslim family of 10 people assaulted, looted and abused.
2 Muslim women were beaten allegedly by the members of a Hindu radical group.
The world's second most populous country is grappling with a fundamental issue. India was founded as a proudly diverse country. So how did it go from this?
Prime Minister Nehru called upon leaders representing many shades of political thought and various religious groups to help build a modern democratic state.
To this. The Hindu nationalist ideology that inspired the murder of Indian independence leader Mahatma Gandhi was a fringe element of the country's politics for decades. Now it's the ideology of India's ruling party, the BJP. Despite India's history of tolerance, it also has a history of religious violence, deadly unrest, and devastating riots. There has been a sharp increase in recent years in attacks on religious minorities by Hindu nationalist groups. But what exactly is Hindu nationalism, and why is it so powerful in India today? We're going to look at the rise of the Hindu right in India and what that means for the future of the world's biggest democracy. Hinduism is thousands of years old and is the world's third largest religion. But Hindutva, a nationalist political ideology, is not that old. First, we need to define what Hindutva even means. The closest translation is Hinduness. Its core belief is that India should be a Hindu nation. While 80% of India's population is Hindu, almost 195 million Muslims live there. India also has millions of Christians, Sikhs and Buddhists, and hundreds of other religious groups. The ideology of Hindutva was, in many ways, born out of Hindu anxieties over the growth of other religions in the colonized subcontinent. Quick history lesson. For 2 centuries before it became a British colony, India had been ruled by the Muslim Mughal Empire. They also built this. And then the British Empire came along.
Hindutva has its roots during the colonial era, when a segment of the Hindu population felt that Western mores were overwhelming Hinduism, and consequently this led to a form of Hindu revitalization.
Early in the 20th century, Indian Muslims created the All India Muslim League to advocate for Muslim rights under British rule. Hindu political leaders followed suit. But modern Hindu nationalism is actually traced back to this man. Meet Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. In 1923, Savarkar wrote a defining piece of work called Essentials of Hindutva.
The idea was that India would be rendered synonymous with this Hinduness, and all Indians would be seen as Hindu. Hindutva transforms Hinduism into a race.
In 1925, so just shortly after the publication of Savarkar's work, something happened that would profoundly impact the Hindutva movement for generations to come. The creation of the RSS. Today, the RSS is an influential, male-dominated, paramilitary Hindu nationalist organization and network in India. It reportedly has 6 million active members and over 100 affiliate bodies. They have yoga sessions and morning training drills. They also host summer camps with weapons training and reportedly exert influence on the current ruling party and at all levels of Indian society. Former RSS members can be found in the highest ranks of the Indian political establishment, but more on that in a bit.
If you look at all of the violences against minority communities that have happened in India, you will see the imprint of the RSS.
But the defining moment of the modern Hindutva movement came in 1992 in the city of Ayodhya, when the RSS joined other right-wing Hindu groups to demolish the historic Babri Masjid. Hindu nationalists believe the 16th century Mughal-era mosque had been built on the site of a Hindu temple. The mosque's destruction sparked Hindu-Muslim communal rioting that killed some 2,000 people.
Imagine being of a minority community in India, already vulnerable, and then imagine symbolically something very powerful to a community being broken.
So what's the link between the paramilitary RSS and the ruling BJP?
The BJP relies on them to get out the vote. The BJP relies on them for electoral purposes. The BJP relies on them for political mobilization. And consequently, the RSS has a disproportionate influence on this current BJP government.
Guess which former RSS member is currently at the very top? Modi didn't become India's most powerful man overnight.
The story of Narendra Modi is really a phenomenal coming-of-age political story. His father was a tea vendor at a local railway platform. Narendra Modi comes from a backward caste family, so in the Hindu caste hierarchy, he did not come from one of the few privileged groups at the top.
He began attending RSS meetings at the age of 8 and formally joined the organization in his early 20s. And then Modi quickly rose through the ranks of the BJP.
He was someone who had a unique charisma, a unique intellect, and a unique ability to kind of navigate politics. And in 2001, the BJP made him the chief minister of the state of Gujarat, which is a pretty significant state in the western part of India that's home to about 60 or 70 million people.
And then, just a few months after Modi came into power in the state, this happened. 59 Hindus died after a train was engulfed in flames, which was blamed on Muslims. The train fire sparked some of the worst communal violence India had ever seen. About 2,000 people, mostly Muslims, were killed.
उन्होंने हमारे पर हमला कर दिया कि ए रहे मुसलमान मारो काटो उसके 2 जन पकड़ के ले गए मेरे को और 3 जन ने मेरे पर बलात्कार किया.
Both the BJP and Modi were accused of being complicit in either instigating the violence or not doing enough to stop it. Both denied the charges, and a 2012 judicial inquiry cleared Modi of wrongdoing.
For the Hindutva movement, the Gujarat pogrom meant that it had succeeded. If Indian Muslims were to ask themselves, how does it feel to be Muslim in India today? The answer had significantly shifted from 2001 to post-March 2002.
Modi couldn't entirely escape the fallout from the Gujarat riots. In 2005, the United States government denied him a diplomatic visa, but despite the travel restriction and widespread criticism, Modi was re-elected 3 times. He increasingly focused on business and economic development and was elected Prime Minister in May 2014. So his campaign centered around the economy and fighting corruption. But his win meant that the BJP, and therefore the ideology of Hindutva, had found a home in the highest political office in India. Modi's 2014 election had initially leaned on the promise of economic development, but his re-election campaign in 2019 was different.
We were nationalists, we are nationalists, and we will remain nationalists.
They talked a lot about nationalism, about a muscular India. They talked about how to make sure that they stopped illegal immigration, largely from Muslims coming from Bangladesh. And of course, the election took place at a time when there was heightened conflict between India and Pakistan. And so Modi was kind of able to use this pro-Hindu, pro-India, anti-Pakistan kind of rhetoric to help mobilize his supporters for the election.
A Human Rights Watch study found a nearly 500% increase in charged and divisive language by Indian politicians since Modi's election. 90% of it was from the BJP. Like the BJP Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, he once said this during a rally. And then there's Home Affairs Minister Amit Shah, seen by some as India's second most powerful man. Shah has called Muslim refugees and migrants from Bangladesh termites. Oh, and by the way, in August 2019, Shah did this.
Article 370, giving Jammu and Kashmir special status, has been virtually scrapped.
Modi's landslide re-election victory shows how popular he and his ideology are. And not only in India. Once denied entry to the United States, today he's welcomed like a rock star.
I think that there are benefits as well in creating the links between a Hindu nationalist powerful diaspora, who then is able to finance campaigns of both Republicans as well as Democrats to influence what power in the United States looks like, and then to have that power function in the interest of state power in India as well.
With Modi in power and Hindutva entrenched in every level of Indian politics, there is some fear that secularism, which has had a long history in India, is in danger. Since 2019, protests have erupted in India over a controversial Citizenship Act, which grants amnesty to undocumented immigrants from neighboring countries. It's being called anti-Muslim because Muslim immigrants are excluded. The Indian government is also building its first massive detention camp where it plans to hold undocumented immigrants, many of them most likely Muslim. But it's important to remember that the rise of populist, supremacist politics in India is part of a global trend.
I mean, if you look at the United States and the rise of Donald Trump, the creeping white nationalism we see, the divisive language, the anti-Muslim or anti-majority sentiment, anti-immigration sentiment, and then you look across at Europe and you see the same things going on, whether it's Brexit or in Hungary or in Austria. We're in a global era right now where this is on the rise, and so I think democracy in that sense does seem to be on the back foot.
Following independence in 1947, India's first Prime Minister Nehru suggested that Hindu communalism was dangerous for the country. Was he correct in his prediction?